That would be great. I'm not she's really good.
There's one for you.
If we don't see her today, we'll have her get in touch. So, okay. Okay. All right, guys. Quick update. So Shani had to go pick up her daughter, so she will not be with us. She was trying to see if she could still make it. And then Krista is also at a doctor's appointment. For her attendance isn't required, but she'll be here after her doctor's appointment if she can make it still. It's 4:31. I'll go ahead and call us to order. And last month we did send some minutes for this. Last month I sent in the December minutes. So we have December and January meeting minutes that if anyone has questions, now would be a great time. Hopefully you've all taken a peek at those. If you have any questions, it'd be a good time to ask those questions. Otherwise, I'll ask someone to make a motion to accept those. So I'll pause. Does anyone have questions from last month's meeting? Okay. Amy, I'm sure, but we're going to go through most of it again today, okay? Any questions about December meetings? Okay, I want to make a motion to accept those minutes.
Sure, motion
Anyone?
to accept.
Yeah. Second from Sam, so we got a first from Josh and a second from Sam, okay? And
I forget I can actually vote at this point.
now that you can vote. So actually, I guess I'm going to throw it to Kyle after this too, to we'll do attendance. And then I'm not sure if Skylar and Logan have been.
So they have not been confirmed.
Okay.
Do you have enough for voting?
So I wanted to clarify, so let me get minutes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Josh and Sam. So a couple of things, and maybe you can help me with the jargon, but so in our bylaws, I did go back through. So having a majority means that we have to have a full quorum. Our 5 voting members would need to be present. We do also have in our bylaws what's called a simple majority. So for procedural and administrative purposes, we can go with the majority of those who are present and can vote. So the voting members that we have present today would be Sam, Josh, Amy, myself, and Scott. So we would need, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we would need a three votes to be able to pass something. Making sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions about majority versus simple majority? Okay. And I would assume, and Kyle, correct me, this would fall under administrative or procedural voting that's allowed by a simple majority, like elections of officers and things like that. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So how many total voting members do we have? I know it's in the, I read it already, but I can't remember.
So there are a total of 9 voting members. And the reason why Logan and Skylar can't is they were both appointed for positions, but they've not been officially approved by city council.
Oh.
But because they are, so Skylar is our city Parks and Rec representative now. So he's city staff, and that's one of the required positions. So we know that's going to go through. They just can't actively vote. Logan is now our Conway Court representative.
Right.
So yeah, no concerns about that happening. We just can't let them vote this time.
So it's a question. So there are 5 voting members here, which is already a majority of the board. So the question is, if we all vote yay, it's fine no matter what, but if it's split with the 5 of us here, then simple majority takes the rule. Is that what I'm understanding?
I see what you're saying.
Does that make sense?
Say that
Wait,
again.
can you repeat that one
So,
more
Yeah,
time?
one more time.
There are 5 voting members here, which is a
Yes.
majority of the voting members of the board
Yes.
out of 9. So if all 5 of us vote for something or against something already as it stands, that's fine with the board because we're a majority.
That would qualify
But
as a
if-
quorum.
It follows as a quorum vote. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. And then, but under simple majority, it's just if the 5 of us split for some reason, it would be whoever has 3 votes gets gets their way. You know what I mean?
Possibly. Well, simple majority of the voting members that are
Right.
present, we have to have
At least
a
3.
majority of that vote.
Okay.
We may be saying the same thing in
I'm
different
probably
ways.
confusing everyone for my own
No, you're fine.
benefit, but I think I understand now. I think we're good.
Anyone else have questions about that or want to interject about majority versus simple majority? Okay. All right. So I think in terms of voting, we're still good to go, right?
Yes.
Because today we do need to decide on some important things, which are officers and committees. And so we will talk about that, but attendance, I think we're good. So Shani is still going to try to make the meeting. It may be too late by the time. So I haven't gotten a response if she thinks she'll be able to make it or not. So we'll kind of hold on.
Did you want to go around and say what everybody's attendance is so far for the year? Since we had talked about doing that
Sure,
last
yeah,
time.
yeah, let's
So we
stay
still have
tuned.
the one vacancy, so that one is just open for now. And so the two of you have not been confirmed yet, so we're just still counting those as vacant. So Sam is good to go, Shani is good to go, Scott is good to go. Let's see, Tracy, you were here last month. Josh, you have an absence
Right.
from last time, and it looks like you also had 2 absences in 2022. So you're getting up towards the
Oh, wait,
upper
it's for
limit.
the entire term?
It's for a 12-month
Oh,
period.
12-month period. Okay. Yeah, got it.
Can I ask what the 12-month period goes from?
Oh, it's just a rolling 12-month period. So it's
Oh,
just
gotcha.
this meeting and so just counting backwards from here. That's how you come up with the 12. And for you, we did have to note that you were absent, but I talked to the mayor's office. They said that it won't be counted. You know, if you reach the maximum number, you would still get an extra one. But we just had to note it on here. So you're good to go as well, Amy. So, and then, yeah, okay. So that's it.
So what were the other two I missed other than
So-
January?
You had missed, well, actually, so you missed January of 22, but now that one will be gone after
Right.
this meeting. So you would be down to 2.
Okay.
And Scott, you were at 3
Okay, so
now.
okay, I'm good.
So yeah, you're still good to go. Yeah, so no worries.
All right,
So, thank you.
you're welcome. And there was an update to the attendance policy, which is why we're kind of clarifying. And then also, you all should have received access to the Google Drive, and we will keep a running tally of attendance. So if you have any questions about it, that's all there for your reference. And then we've committed to holding true with attendance counts at the beginning, so there's no surprises for anyone. Okay. All right. So, all right, we have a quorum. Yay. Minutes are in. I did just want to review the budget. And that was Lauren. She's the admin. She helps us with getting our budget and financials information, and you'll either hear it come through Krista or myself, and we report that. It says technically we only have to do it every 3 months, but we talk about our budget every month, so just a little bit. Right now, in terms of budget, so this is all pending the confirmation appointments after city council meeting on the 14th of February. And so right now there's $573 that was existing from 2022. So that will be voted in on the 14th. We did receive, thank you very much. Crystal and Logan got in their $5,000 sponsorship to be voted in for appropriation. Conway Corp sponsors us every year for $5,000. So that's wonderful. We did receive also a $250 donation last month, and so that is also pending. We did have some encumbered or committed funds still pending from last year, so $500 to complete a brick installation for our celebration trees movement. We're going to have those placed in Laurel Park, and then $50 of that $250 donation goes towards another purchase of brick for that sponsorship that we received. So if everything is approved, we'll have 58, 23, 27 in our budget, and then we'll have 52, 73, 27 available to spend as soon as that's all appropriated. So we do have that, so we're in good shape for that. Old business quickly, I dropped off the canvas prints. Did you
Yes.
get those? Have those been hung, or do we know when
Yes,
they will go?
one is in our office at Don Owens. It's in Tyler's office. She actually liked it, so she hung it up there. And then 2 of them are up at the McGee Center. One of them is right in the lobby when you walk in, and then the other one is right by the clock when you're at the front desk.
Beautiful.
So those are 2 spots that should be very visible as soon as the public walks in.
Excellent. So that's really good, because we'll either let the folks know that they're there, and we may do a little post about that too. So
I have pictures from those if you want those. So
excellent. Yeah. That's great. Okay. So that was kind of the only thing pending that, and then the brick installation from last year to finish. We moved some of the celebration trees. We replanted some that were in the middle medians. Those were some that had been previously purchased in honor or memory of someone. If they were in poor health, they had to remove them, take those down. So we have relocated those trees, not relocated. We put new trees in Laurel Park, and so now we're going to I'm going to pause. There are new trees down Prince Street that are no longer celebration trees. That's the city's effort to help with tree streets. And so the trees that were there had small plaques on them. Part of what we did, now we're going to have engraved bricks, and we're going to have a small little structure or a place put in Laurel Park and have the bricks installed that have all of the names of the trees that were there. So, or the honorees that were celebration trees. Conway Corp is going to have a project going through Laurel Park. So the date of installation, we want to wait until their work's done, obviously, so they don't have to remove them or. So we're going to wait until that project is finished. As I understand, those are going through approvals still, that work, and so that date is tentative. So stay tuned and, sell more bricks. Okay. All right. So new business for today, and hopefully I will not be scattered. This is my third board meeting in the last 3.5 hours, so keep me honest. So part of what we need to do, since we're there's a lot of newness on this board, which I think is very exciting for new thinking, new kind of ideas. And so part of what we need to do is conduct officer elections. So we do have the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary positions that are available and need to be filled. And so we're becoming more formalized with all of our boards and commissions for the city. I think before it was just kind of open dialogue and discussion of who wants this position, or raise your hand and nominate yourself. So I'm going to ask, since we are so new, if y'all would prefer to vote privately, and I've got a makeshift ballot way that we can do that, and we will let Kyle count the votes since he is a non-voting objective person for us, or we can still do a raise of hand to nominate yourself or someone else. So to your comfort level, do you want to let me know how you would like to vote?
I'm fine with just raise your hand and whatever.
Yeah.
But
New folks
either way.
mostly. Okay. You good? You okay? Okay. So what we'll do is I will just go down the bylaws and just kind of quickly talk about the roles, right? I mean, they're pretty standard in terms of chair, vice chair, and secretary. I don't know if everyone still has their bylaws. You're welcome to listen and or follow along if you would like. But we will look under, let's see. So it's Article 3, memberships and officers. And I think it's page 2 and 3 in your bylaws. Excuse me. So we do have, again, we've got 9 voting members. We have an ex officio, and then a forestry member, representative, advisor as well. We do also have 3 standing committees that we will need at least 3 members of to be able to have some special meetings and do some planning work. So first we'll talk about officers. So the chair, obviously, and I'm going to pause, even though I'm standing here, my position is really available too, because these are every year voting. And so we do have the chair position, of course, presiding over all the meetings, hearings of the board. It does say that it should be that his should be in the 3rd year of service. You are also going to see that the vice chair should be in the 2nd year of service. We have so much newness, we may not be able to completely stick to that. So the chair will, I can appoint committee members. We will designate standing committee members. I will also help sign the person, not just me, but the chair will approve, sign all approved minutes, any documents on behalf. I also do a lot of the communication with the city about certain things that we want to do. The vice chair would obviously be responsible for all of the responsibilities if I'm not in the building, and then also help with onboarding training of any new members. let's see, secretary will be responsible for monitoring the minutes, maintaining a record of the bylaws and of current membership of the board in terms of office, and then also maintaining a record of the organization of the board. I will say this is not required or in the bylaws. We did have Natalie, who was our secretary. She also did marketing for us. This is not an officer position, but that is a duty and responsibility that we'll want some help with as well. So if you do have interest in marketing, that's not an officer election, but I'm just throwing that out there. But we'll want some support with marketing too. Okay. Anyone have questions about roles of officers?
Who are currently in these positions?
I am the chair, and that's it. But technically, they're all open because although our terms of membership are staggered on a 3-year basis, each officer position is available every year. So they're technically all open and available. So I am, in terms of chair, as far as if we want to go by 3-year rule, I would be the only one that's eligible. If we look at vice chair for the second chair or second year rule, Scott would be eligible and Josh would be eligible for that as well.
Okay.
Okay, so if we want to stay true to that, then that is that. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Do y'all want to vote by show of hands? Would you like to nominate? It feels awkward, kind of, having everyone so new and asking you to vote so quickly, but they are pretty standard rules. So.
Have you been on this board for a while?
So technically, I'm non-voting. I'm ex
Non-voting?
officio, so
Okay.
I don't have a say in who gets what
I
position.
noticed your organizational skills, so that's why I bring it up.
I appreciate it,
Yeah.
but no, I do not have a say. So it is whatever you all decide.
Okay.
I'm fine with nominating you for the chair. Since, I mean, honestly, you probably know more about what's going on than any of the rest of us do.
Okay.
I second that nomination.
Okay. Thank you very much for that vote of confidence. Do we need to do all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Would you like to also nominate yourself for chair?
No.
You be the next person, Stuart. Okay, well, I will gladly accept that position. Thank y'all for the faith in that. All right, what about vice chair?
I have a feeling neither of us want that job.
I'll nominate Josh.
Yeah, I'm not nominating yet. I'll go ahead and, yeah, I can do it
That'd be great.
if everybody's cool.
I second that. And then, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. We had Josh and Amy for me, and then we had Scott and me for Josh. Okay, and what about secretary? Who is that organized person that would like to assist with secretary? Any volunteers? Shall I nominate someone? Sam Little, Skylar. Everyone's like, no.
Respectfully, no. I'm defending.
I
my
am,
thesis
because you're a
this
grad
semester.
student defending
Yeah.
these. I know, I keep thinking about your workload and like what is about to happen. And so,
Mhm.
Skylar, how do you feel about being secretary?
I'm very new to this, so I'm fine. If you have to explain to me a little bit more in detail
Sure.
exactly what all goes into that. As far as the marketing goes, I already do that for the city anyways, so that doesn't bother me at all there.
Great.
Like I said, the other stuff, I'm fine with doing. I get a little bit more hectic when it's ball season because that is part of my actual job of
Yes.
baseball and softball season. So there's some times where I have literally nothing to do and other times
Right.
where I have too much things to do. But
Okay.
yes, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay. And then we all kind of take notes and we'll make sure. And then Natalie Arnold was our extremely efficient, highly creative secretary who's because of position change is not on the board anymore, but so we will partner with her. She also has an agreement right now to help support in that role
Okay.
while we're developing, and we've got Canva, we've got some tools set up, and
Yeah, I got the invite to Canva the other day,
yeah.
which that's what I use over there at the park. So
so
I
everyone,
haven't responded to that, but I did see the canvas invite yet.
good deal. So I think that'll be a good fit. I will share obviously some expectations information, but we'll partner with Natalie too, because she's extremely efficient with all of that. Okay.
cool with me.
Excellent. So I nominated you. Do we get a second?
I'll say.
Excellent. All in favor? Anyone opposed?
No.
All right, thank you for that. Going boldly. All right.
Congratulations to all.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right, so now that we have we have Shani here also. Shani, who is not here, but she is a new member. And I think she's got some marketing skills too. And so I think she'll be a good partner for some of that. So I don't want to forget, she's not here. But I think we do have some other talent that can help with some of that on the board.
I know her personally, so.
Do you? Okay, well, good. See, well, I hope
Me
y'all
and
get
her
along
husband have
well.
been friends for a very long time.
Good. I'm excited about that. Okay, so, all right, so the next portion that we want to talk about are our standing committees. So if you want to move down to Article 4 in our committees, we do have 3 standing committees. We have Canopy Management, Community Action, and Sustainable Works. I will say these were committees that were put in when the board was first founded. We've not clearly defined those committees, but over this last month, I'm like, what is the work that has been done, or what are some of the areas that I'd like for these committees to focus on? And so as simply put as I can, as far as committee work and how that lays out for us, would be the Community Action Committee is basically our boots on the ground, public-facing events, community outreach, education, volunteerism. So if you want to have literally your hands and feet in the dirt and you want to interact with the public on a more regular basis, this is a great committee for you. We typically will have like Zoom meetings in between, and I'm going to pause. I understand everyone's busy, so we don't want to take up too much of your time, but this is probably one of the more active in terms of physically being available and active. In person, this is probably the most active in terms of those committees, of all the committees. But typically we would do, let's say we've got an event or project or something coming up, we'll do a Zoom meeting. And before it kind of worked during lunchtime for us, but really we're flexible. We're all new folks. And so we have to look at what works best for everyone now. But we would do like a Zoom meeting and do some planning, some email planning, and then it just really is marketing outreach. And so it doesn't take a ton of your time except for maybe a couple of hours meeting in between our monthly full board meeting and then actual day of event and activities. We aren't all required to be at that specific event or activity, but we do, typically need 1 or 2 of us to be there. So,
Do you have more success having the events on Monday through Friday or weekends?
So it will vary. Okay. So Arbor Day is our biggest event. That's going to be the first Saturday in November. That's kind of all hands on deck. That's really our largest, right? Some of the others would be plantings. This year we're talking about maybe getting into a school to try to do some adopt-a-tree lessons with some students. So that would be maybe Monday through Friday. I'd say most of the activities there are going to be weekend. Looking at this year's calendar, just what we have on this year's calendar already, there's a Friday, St. Patty's Day. It's a 10 to 2 free tree giveaway. Toad Suck Weekend, we've got the Natural State Tree Climbing Competition coming in. So that's a 3-day event. So that will require probably a little more hands-on than we've done in previous years, but that will be over Toad Suck Weekend. Trying to think. And then, of course, Arbor Day, we would have that. So those are the big 3 that we kind of have planned right now. Any tree plantings that we would have, they're probably going to be in later fall this year. And we have done them during weekdays. If they're really large trees, we have a company who even comes in and does it for us. But if we want to have like a big community outreach, like last year we did 200 trees in the ground. That was during spring. Well, it was planned for UCA's big event, then we had snow, so then it went into spring break. I'm probably rambling. I'm not sure I'm answering your question. But most of them I would say are going to be weekend because typically if it's during the week, Krista's gonna be there doing education with us, and it's for city staff. Like if we're doing plantings in a park, then whoever's gonna be maintaining that property is the target audience. Like we wanna get those in the ground and then help educate them on how to maintain those. And so a little bit of weekday, mostly weekend. I digress. Any other questions about the Community Action Committee or any committees or the Community Action Committee? Okay. All right. I'll talk about the other two and then we'll ask for some nominations and then we can go through and make some decisions. So the other committee that we have, or one of the others, is Sustainable Works. So there's been some overlap between Sustainable Works and Canopy and not a great breakdown of it. But as we look at where our opportunities are, I would really like to see the Sustainable Works Committee focused on networking and relationship building with some of our key stakeholders and also with the city departments. So Parks and Rec has been very active with us already in terms of planting locations and support, but we do also, and the physical plant's been really helpful. They maintain the street trees on the city streets, and so Spencer and their group's been very helpful to stay in communication with us about trees, any questions they have. They did just go and remove the straps off of 6th Street for us, and so they're been very helpful too. We do also have the transportation department. I'm not really connected with them a whole lot, but there's been a ton of projects that they've been working on where I would love to grow some partnerships to say, hey, how can we support that? Where projects are now finished and we have the rights of way, where would it be helpful for us to go back and get some appropriate trees for those specific locations? And so reaching out, building relationships, at Conway Corp, there would be opportunity with that. Would also work with some of our developers. That would be part of that too. An example of that would be there was an ad hoc committee set up with some local developers about what are some of the challenges, what are they seeing in terms of development, because we hear from the community a lot about the clear cutting of properties as they're going through, and no one likes to see that. There are some truly legitimate challenges that our developers are seeing, and so James and the planning department invited some developers to come in, and we all got together and figured out what are some things that we can do right now. That led to an ordinance last year and a commitment that for any single or dual housing, keep me honest here, any single or dual housing development property, they will at least put one tree of a specific size to replace.
So 1.5 inches at chest height.
Yep.
I just read that. So,
Yes,
yeah.
and that's a good standard. So, but it's something we want. Our job is to come in and support all of these great programs and projects that are going on, and how can we continually plant and preserve trees to the best of our ability on public property. But we can't do it just on public property, so we need to be on residential lots as well. So bringing them to the table, getting feedback, and coming to an agreement is one way that we do that. So I could see that some of the Sustainable Works folks would be involved maybe in that. Any questions about what that committee would kind of look like? Okay. So the last committee is the Canopy Management Committee. And you'll see why there's kind of some overlap. So we are a tree board for the city, but we also are a Tree City USA, which is the Arbor Day Foundation program, right? And one of the tenets or standards of that is that we do have a tree care management plan for the city. And so I shared with you guys last month just a frame and a scope of work for that tree care management plan for the city, that we have a kind of ad hoc committee that fell under this type of work, where we're trying to set up a framework for the city to consider. We would eventually like to get where we have a master plan that we are saying here, we would like for this to be the way that we manage our trees in Conway. There's several departments and overlaps. It's pretty complex, but this would be more research-driven, brainstorming, setting up official plans to prepare it for introduction into city council proposals, things like that. So probably not so much in-person work, but more digging into some tools and looking at other ideas, maybe how other cities are doing it. What are some of the data that show us that we need to incorporate into that work? So any questions about the Canopy Committee? Okay. All right. So we'll start with the Community Action Committee. Anyone would like to nominate themselves and or someone else?
Go ahead.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am?
No, go ahead,
No,
please.
questions, go. Yeah.
Since there are 9 voting members and 3 standing committees with at least 3 people on them,
Mhm.
is it 1 committee per person?
We just cannot have a quorum on any one committee, as I understand it, correct?
So you cannot
So
have
we
We do
can't have
have one
5.
vacancy
Okay,
now.
we can do 3, 4.
anyways.
And I do want to, I'm sorry, I've kind of skipped over that and you've said that now twice. So if it's not too confusing, I'm going to divert for just a second. So we do, of our 9 voting members, we do have our Chamber of Commerce member, that representative that we don't have right now. So that's a vacant position. We'll have to wait till open enrollment, or the city's going to get back with us as to when we can go back and either recruit for that or get that next person in. Because then we do have Shani, who is not here today. Looking at her application, I don't know her personally. You may can nominate her knowing her personally. But she seems to be a pretty active person with some of her other organizations, and maybe some hands-on work possibly she'd like to do that. And an update, Scott. So there are member-at-large positions, and then we were supposed to have a professional horticulturist on our board, separate and apart from our forestry advisors, which an arborist, which would be Krista Quinn. She's a non-voting member. But Scott, I asked that they move you to the professional horticulturist, since it can be a master naturalist, master gardener, someone with certification skills and with your forestry credentials. I asked that they move you to that position, if that's okay, because it's easier to recruit for a member at large. It's a challenge to get a horticulturist or a master naturalist, because our work times are their busy times, and so it's a challenge to get everyone to kind of show up and be available when we need to do that. But Scott more than meets the requirement for that with his work at Green Bay Packaging and sustainable forestry and all of that. So, all right. Now, back to committees. I'm sorry for that.
So wait, we have
So
2
let's-
vacancies, Chamber of Commerce, and then what's going to be a member-at-large position.
Just the Chamber of Commerce position is
Oh,
open.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's the other vacancy?
Well, on paper, it was a professional horticulturist,
Got
but
it,
we were
got it,
able
got
to
it.
shift.
Got it. Okay.
And we'll do
Got
that
it now.
sometimes. So like I think at one time Claire was the chamber member and then she was the business owner. Josh is our business owner, right? Conway Corp representative, city staffer, and then the rest of us are members at large. So, okay.
And so there will be a total of, at full capacity, 10 voting members, and so no single committee can have more than 5
Correct.
members? Okay. 5 voting members?
Correct. Or not, we
Should
have
be
9
9.
voting, I'm sorry, 9
Yeah.
voting members, so no more, the rest of the information goes correct, no more than 5.
But right now, there would only be 8 until that last position
Yeah.
gets filled. And I don't have a timeline yet. I checked with the mayor's
Yeah.
office and they said they're planning to just do all the boards at once the next time they want to do a round of confirming people. So
Okay,
I'm not sure when that would be, but it sounds like it could be a couple months at least.
yes, okay. All right. So, Community Action Committee, any folks?
I was on that last year. I'll go ahead and do it again this year. I was
Thank you.
pretty comfortable with that. I like
Thank you. I
that.
appreciate that. You're very helpful. Yes. Great. Okay. And I will do the community, I'll be on all of the committees, but, so Josh, and then Skylar, if you're willing to help with marketing, understanding you don't have to be at every single meeting, but sometimes just the marketing portion of it is super helpful. And so I would nominate you. I would appoint you to that committee if that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd like to be on the community action,
perfect.
boots on the ground.
Great, love it. And then I would also say Shani, just with some of her other efforts, it looks like she likes to be outward facing in the public. And so would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Okay
that's what
with
it
me?
seems like.
Look, she's gonna, I'm taking you with me. We're nominating, we're going
She'll
down
put so much on her plate.
together.
She's fine.
And like I said, it's not a large amount of time, and we don't all have to be at every event, but it's more so just supporting. So if you're doing marketing and we're doing hands on the ground, and Josh is great to welcome and orient people and man the booths and all of those things. So it's worked out pretty well. So okay, so sustainable
What's your name again?
work.
I'm sorry.
Amy.
Amy, thank you.
Sustainable Works Committee, networking, relationship building. I would naturally see, Logan, that you could be
I
really
agree.
helpful with that. And my other thought was Skylar, I don't want to overcommit you.
I don't know, I actually have that one kind of marked down.
Okay, yeah. All right. And then who else do we have? Scott, I know you're very tight on your time and availability and not directly in Conway.
Right.
So let's see, keep me here. And Krista, obviously, is going to be on all of our committees too.
Mm-hmm.
So Logan, Skylar, obviously, I want to keep you in that. We'll talk about planning department in a little bit. But Kyle has been really great to kind of support our committees, especially when it comes to the research planning. And so I'd hope that city staff would still be part of that as well. All right. And let's move on to canopy. So this is a framework of tree care management plan for the city is what we'll be doing primarily for that. So I'm sure everybody's like, sign me up for that one.
Yeah.
Then I know Scott,
Yeah,
you've been
yeah.
extremely helpful with that. So I'd like to see Scott on that. And then Amy, you said yes. Sam, I know you want to be on that as well. And then eventually city planning will be, okay. All right. So those are our committees. Great. Thank y'all very much. There will be more information to come about each of those. And then we'll discuss kind of how we will want to work together. We do have a Google Drive. So if everyone is super busy, we'll be able to have some information sharing, planning and all of that there. But so great. Standing committees. Wonderful. All right. Let's see. Moving right along. City updates, Kyle, I had that on the agenda to talk about now, but you've already shared members, so we do have the open chamber position still available. Date for that to be determined. You guys being confirmed should happen on the 14th, right? Is it on the agenda for the 14th? Do you know?
Yeah, both of them should be getting confirmed on the 14th.
On the 14th, so we will follow up on that, but it looks like the 14th. There are some updates with purchasing. Do you have any info to share about purchasing or approvals?
Yeah, so everything now has to go through the city, so nobody on the board can buy stuff anymore. So please don't do that, because if you do, you will not be able to get reimbursed. If you do have something that you want to purchase, just send it to Lauren Hoffman and she'll handle the purchasing of everything, assuming that it has approval from the mayor's office. So it is a little bit different from how things have been before, where people were buying things and getting reimbursed later. So that's all going away now, mostly for auditing purposes, just to kind of streamline things and make it simpler.
And I guess my question is, so let's say, for instance, the scenario would be, do we need, I guess, what comes first? So before we request an item or an event or something to be purchased, what's the process for getting it approved before we ask you guys to?
So you would just need to
invoice and
send
pay?
us something that's going to show us how much it'll cost. So whether that's an invoice or something like that, just something that shows this is how much we want to purchase of this thing, or this is what it is and how much it'll be. And then we'll send that on to the mayor's office. They'll either say, yes, you can go ahead and purchase this, or no. And if it's a yes, then we'll just use the city purchasing card and buy it, and then you'll get it that way.
And is that good, like for online? I know we have some folks who are set up as vendors. But online purchasing.
Yeah, so that would
that's
be
good
for online
that's
and
just
everything. So
all
that would
that.
be anything, whether it's online or not.
Okay, and then my follow-up question to that would be, what is the time frame for approval on the front end? And here, for context, so we have the free tree giveaway in March. We've already purchased some trees. Krista was notified that only 25, but we do have 25 more trees that we can purchase. So would I need to first, what's the time frame to get approval that a purchase is okay?
I guess I would say the more time you can give is probably the better. Like if you can tell us, a month or two in advance that, hey, we're going to be needing whatever this item is in a couple months, that would be great. But I would say, if you know that there's something big coming up, just let us know as early as you possibly can.
So like maybe say, here's our calendar,
Yeah, but-
here's some,
Mhm.
even though we may not have a budget set for each of them yet, to say, here are what we are expecting. So do we need approval for the events and the activities, or is it approval for the
It's just for any
expenditure?
funding, so just the
Okay.
expenses. So you don't need any sort of approval just to have an event. But if there is going to be an expense, you would need to get that expense approved.
Okay, but not through city council, just a request?
No, not through
just an
city
email.
council,
Okay.
just a request sent to us and then we'll send it to the mayor's office. But
Okay.
there's no set time frame where it's like you have to have it by whatever a month before or anything. It's just, I would say the earlier you can get it to us, the better.
Okay. Ballpark, no, I'm just kidding. I'm like, I just don't want to miss an opportunity. Okay. Okay. Any other, anything else going on citywide, in terms of city procedures or anything that we need to be
So
aware of?
that's really the big change is
Okay.
how things are being purchased, and that's for all boards now. So we're
Yes.
just trying to streamline things and make it a little bit easier so that we know where all the purchases are coming from and things of that nature. So no, that's really the only change this year.
Okay, good deal. Thank you for that. Okay. All right, how are we doing on time? About 12. Okay. So we'll move on now to a couple of the events. And I was speaking with Krista earlier. She was afraid she wouldn't be able to make it quite in time for this discussion. So the first event that we do have coming up is the Free Tree event on March 17th. So just to kind of update, last year we had 600 trees available to Conway residents. So although we are responsible, part of our charge is to take care of public trees, right? Publicly owned property. But another outreach effort is to encourage residents to get trees onto their property, right? Because we can't do it alone. And so last year we had 600 trees that were given away in 2 hours. We did have 5, each resident could take up to 5 trees. So that was about 120. If everybody took 5, that was about 120 residential properties that we have trees that were put in last year. This year, we didn't have access to as many trees. And so luckily we purchased in advance because there are no trees. I don't know if you've heard that. We're kind of, there are no more trees to purchase because we understood and appreciated the volume of interest last year. And so the plan was to get more, right? But what we found is based off of availability, we can't meet that 600 number. So we have 400 that we already purchased. Krista did get a notice that 25 more trees are available. Since our funds haven't been confirmed yet, I would just say we don't want to miss out on those. I think it's like $20. I'm going to buy those trees so we can make sure we have the additional 25, not expecting reimbursement, just as a donation. I like to do that so we can go ahead and get those ordered and not miss out. So we will have 425 trees. We were talking earlier, if we put a cap of 2 trees per resident, that's going to get us 225 properties, and realistically probably easier to manage if someone's trying to get 2 trees to grow versus the 5 that they took, unless they're really focused on those. And so that'll be the goals. We'll have 425 trees. Tentatively, we know we're going to have it March 17th. Last year, they did at the Faulkner County Historical Museum, the cabin right there by the Extension Office. That was really successful. It's a good central location. And so we're going to shoot for that. We're waiting on approval from Lanita Langley, who oversees the museum. But it would be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with a limit of 2 trees per resident. And we'll be there at the cabin. So I think last year, so Krista and then some of the Forestry Commission folks were there for that event. And then I went to support, and there may have been one other person. It's a real short event. It's super easy. People are going to walk up. And these are the bare root trees, so they're not large. So it's pretty easy to do.
The kind we get from the Arbor.
The Arbor Day Foundation, the Forestry Commission, which last year, the reason we were able to give away so many trees is they had some free trees that they gave to several counties. I don't know if y'all saw the Free Tree Fridays, and they kind of did it in every county or a different location. So we're hopeful this year that they would be able to lend some support, and they're the ones who can't get trees. So anyway, they would love to support, but there are no additional trees this year. So we're going to roll with that. Don't know if you guys have seen, we do have an Instagram and a Facebook page. We have already put out a save the date for that. We didn't have the location and all the details. We will go back now and set an event. As always, and at your comfort level, we ask that y'all cross-post and share our information, because just like our visitor said today, they had no idea that they had a tree board in our city. So that's part of what we're wanting to do is be more forward facing and let people know that there is a resource and people here paying attention and focused on that with the city. So, all right. So there's that. Any questions about that? Anybody think, and look at your calendars if you find that you're available. It's a pretty quick something and doesn't really take many volunteers for that. Marketing will be the biggest thing.
It's on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should be
It's
able
St.
to-
Patty's Day. We thought green would be appropriate to get some
Appropriate, that's
trees.
great, yeah. I should be able to help out with that.
Great, and then that's probably enough. It'll be good. All right, and then I will definitely be helping with that as well. Okay.
If you need another, I'll be able to.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, so the next event that we will have coming up will be the Natural State Tree Climbing Competition, and we're really excited about this. This is not climbing a tree like if we were a kid, which is also fun, or adult, which is also fun, but these are professional arborists, and this is skilled tree climbing. They will do maneuvers. I believe they have to do a rescue. So this is skills training. And it's good for our city to have this because it pulls from region and different states too. We're really excited that it's going to be on Toad Suck weekends. We're hoping that we can have a good collaboration with that and get them some more exposure, and also be neat to have that just for Conway this year. So the location has been determined, so it will be on Hendricks campus. That is a 3-day event, but we are going to look at on that Saturday to have some activities out there. The goal right now is to reach out to some of the folks who were out for Arbor Day, so like master naturalists, master gardeners, some of the geography students, to talk about tree rings and just some education around trees in general. Maybe do a tree ID walk. People really like that. Krista and Harold Fisher lead that for us, and Hendricks is set up already with good tree identification. So that would be easy to do. Probably a couple of kids activities, since it is Toad Suck and that's very kid-centric, especially in that Markham section. Unless the layout changes, it's an easy trek now, just right up Markham Street to make it to the tree climbing competition and still interact with Toad Suck. We are in coordination with the Urban Forestry Council. This is really their competition. We're going to be the sponsors for that. And so I know they are reaching out to the A&P Commission to try to seek some funding to support that. And then I would just ask if y'all can think of any sponsors or anyone that may be interested in sponsoring this event, if y'all want to either share names or reach out. But that would be part of our community action committee, probably is setting up little information about the event. So it's going to take some coordination with the Urban Forestry Council, possibly Toad Suck committee folks, if they do have interest in coordinating it all with us on that. So I could see that we'll need to get some activities. There'll be some recruitment that will require volunteers, probably some merchandise. Everybody likes some free merchandise, so we'll do some things like that. Branding will be important for that. And that's really all I have to say about that right now. Just get your wheels turning, especially community action folks. I'd say encourage you to go to their website, look like what some of the prior events have looked like, and then what's a natural fit and transition from kind of a Toad Suck event down to Hendrix. So we will be meeting and discussing that.
And so that'll be the first weekend in May?
It's 5th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Is that the first weekend?
Yes. And the 5th is also UCA graduation.
Yes.
For graduates, and then the 6th is undergraduate graduation. We could probably reach out to local tree company, tree services, Newton Tree Service being first one, to see if they're aware, want to participate. And if not, better yet, if they want to help donate
Sure.
any funding for it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. And in terms of like graduation at UCA, what does that mean as far as student involvement? So classes will be done.
Yeah, so
Would that be a good time to seek student involvement or not great?
it kind of depends. So students will have finals from the 1st through the 5th, so Monday through Friday. Graduate students will have their graduation ceremony that evening, and undergraduates, they've got a bunch of different graduation ceremonies throughout the day.
Right.
If the student is local, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, absolutely. They won't have homework or classes or anything going
Classes
on.
would be over, yeah.
If the student is non-local, they might have already moved back home or be in the process of moving.
Okay.
So it just kind of depends.
Okay. And then obviously we'll add same thing of Hendrix students too, and we're going to be on their campus, so they'll definitely be involved in that as well. Any other questions or thoughts about that right now? So between now and March, obviously I'm going to reach out to the Toad Suck Committee, the Forestry Council is reaching out to AMP Commission. Krista, of course, is doing a lot of coordination with all entities. But yeah, sponsors, if you can think of any sponsors, I'd say that's key right now.
I was thinking like outdoor stores, H2O place right over here, Ozark Outfitters, like Dick's Sporting Goods, or there's another big sporting goods store in town, isn't there? I don't remember. Hibbett Sports? Yeah.
Pivot.
And the
Yeah, that's what I'm
H2O,
thinking of.
and then the other kayak folks, it's right off.
Yes, I was
the
trying to think on the north side,
Yeah.
east side of town.
Yeah.
It's not
The name is
quite
escaping me right now.
directly related, but maybe roofing companies.
Well, I was thinking about that, and then also the companies that we do business, so
Tree
Olive,
services.
is it Olive?
Olive Branch
that
Landscaping?
does,
Yeah.
and then West also does business with the city. So any of our tree services that are here, obviously see if we can get some support from them.
Yeah, I know Newton's local.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some landscaping companies. Or like the not just the maintenance companies, but
Like the ones that
like
actually
plant
go in.
outlet.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Will there be a committee meeting, a community action committee meeting about this, or is this going to be the discussion?
No, so yeah, we will talk about when it's a good time that we could meet between those. So my most important thought of just mentioning those right now is what do we need before we meet again in March? And so that, just to get your wheels turning, obviously the Free Tree Friday and then the tree climbing competition are two priorities right now to get some planning and marketing out about those. So, I mean, this is a good time, actually, if we want to look at Community Action Committee members, we're all here. So is a lunchtime after work, like what is a good time frame that works?
I'm usually good. I take my usually take my lunch breaks from like 1 to 3 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
Thursday and Friday. I'm usually busy then, Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday now. But I mean, I'm at work, so I can do it pretty much any time if I'm at work.
Yeah.
So
So you're saying between
I can
1
fold
and
clothes in
3
the background while I'm talking to people,
Hey, that's what I do on a regular basis, not at your volume. Okay, so 1 to 3, and you said not on Thursday, Fridays?
I can
or
only
yes?
do Thursday,
Only do
Fridays.
Thursday, Friday. Okay, Amy, Skylar, tell me
That'll-
about,
I can work with that as well.
okay, how about for you, sir?
Yeah, I usually take lunch around like 12:30, so
Okay,
anywhere in between there should be fine.
So
Most Thursdays, as long as I don't have umpires call in, like at 3 o'clock, I'm usually okay.
gotcha.
But a lot of my umpires are college kids, so
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a deal there. But for the most part, I stay on top of those pretty well. So
Okay,
that 1 to 3 on Thursdays.
so 1 to 3 Thursdays, that seemed good. I know everybody Fridays, we're all, it's like, okay.
Fridays I'm good if we want to do it like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can do that too.
Is there morning? I mean, it's really all up to y'all. And we don't have to have a standing set every time. So I know seasons are gonna change and evolve for you and, okay. So let's look at, just really quickly. All right, so we are, what is today? We're the 6th, we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks out from the event. So could we all get together, let's say next Thursday?
Next Thursday, the 16th?
The 16th?
Okay, yeah, that works for me. Yep.
And we can do it via Zoom. So we'll do the 16th. And how about does a 1:30 sound okay? Or do y'all want to be closer to then? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Do 1:30 p.m. Okay, and we'll set up Zoom for that. All right, so that'll be our, yay, we've got something. Okay, so we'll get that set up. And then I'll probably ask Natalie if she's available to join us for that meeting too. Okay. All right. So we do have that, the tree climbing competition, we'll have some more information, and that's kind of that second priority, but we'll have some updates when we talk about that as well. More in depth. All right. So in terms of the Canopy Management Committee, it's been quite a while since we've met. And we did have a real strong group starting out, and then over time, not as many folks well, there was just a lot going on. So we do want to get back. Plus, this is one of the more complex, right? So we're starting a framework of a plan for how we want the city to manage. There's a lot to consider. So I would like for us to have another committee meeting about that before we come back in March. So to that group, and I know, Amy, we're kind of double dipping, but when's a good time for meetings for us, for the Canopy Management Group? We were previously, and this is something that won't happen by Zoom always, but we can, just because it's brainstorming and troubleshooting. And we were at the extension office at 5, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
You come the furthest, so tell us what kind of works for you.
Anything after 4. I mean, I can be there at 4 o'clock.
Is there a certain day of the week that y'all have recurring meetings that makes it more challenging, and y'all be thinking about that too?
And I mean, this is just for this month, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if there's any standing times that are better for you, you can definitely let me know.
Okay. I mean, I can do, next week is fairly open, except for Friday. And then, following week, I've got mostly openings. Wednesday and Thursday won't work on the 22nd or 23rd, but outside of that, I'm pretty good.
So,
After 4, I've got open availability.
okay, good deal. And then
After
Skylar?
4, I can't do Thursday.
Okay, so what about a Tuesday? After 4 on a Tuesday, like the 21st, maybe? Sound good? Skylar, are you,
This is the.
wait, I'm sorry, you're not getting, I'm so sorry.
Sustainable and community.
I've got Sam, Scott, Amy, yes. And then Logan, I don't know about you in terms of canopy management or sustainable works is kind of where you want to sit.
Sustainable
stay.
works.
Okay, so let's do 4 PM on the 21st. Does that work for everyone? Now this, I will get with Krista, so they are nice enough to give us one of the meeting rooms at the extension office. So before we absolutely confirm that, let me get with her, make sure that room's available. And if not, I guess, can we, at 4 PM?
As long as no other
No other
group is
place?
meeting here, you're welcome to meet
So this
here.
might be at the secondary location, but we'll shoot for extension office. Okay. Okay. Tuesdays are probably best. Okay. All right, so good. So we've gotten our committee meeting times. Do look at that framework before you come. I printed it. It's in the Google Drive also. And we put in some information, just other ideas, scopes of work. There's some city examples. Of course, y'all know more of that area than I do in a professional capacity. And so any resources that you may have, we want to share. Just bring your ideas on the 21st. Okay. Sustainable works. Let's look at, okay, and let me pause for a second because our next full board meeting is going to be March 6th, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I feel like I'm hitting y'all with a lot of meetings this month too, and we can get on a good recurring basis. So how do y'all feel about having another meeting, or would y'all like to just digest and dig in a little bit and then we start our committee meetings in March? Are you ready? You feel okay with digging in sometime in February?
So the sustainable works one?
For the, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so sorry. My brain just went to canopy management. The sustainable works, we probably could just do a quick touch base, 30, 45 minutes maybe. We could do it Zoom and talk about some ideas of how we would want to get started with that. Because as we really haven't touched that portion of it too much, so organized it in any kind of way. So what dates would work and what times work for sustainable works? Keep me honest. Logan, Skylar, me.
I can look at my calendar for any specific days and times. I have a lot of open times though. I can move things around,
Okay. So we're kind of having one. We've got one the week of the 16th. We've got one the week of the 21st. So do we want to look at maybe the last week of February
I'm good if you want to touch up on that Monday.
on the
27th.
27th? How's the 27th look for you?
27th should be good.
Sometime during the day. I'll have softball drafts that afternoon. So anytime really after 4 would not be great, but if we did it during normal business hours,
Yeah.
if that works for y'all.
Yeah.
That's good with me.
So do y'all want to do morning, lunchtime? What time works better for y'all? I typically will. I can be flexible with my lunches and sorry, because this is not my work. So
Morning's open. Lunch is good too.
is there a time that's better for you?
I always like mornings.
Okay. So do we want to do that's Monday, we'll have somebody there at night, so a 10:30? Can we do 10 or 10:30?
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Which one do you prefer?
Either one of those.
Okay. We'll do 10 a.m. on the 27th.
And that's gonna be another Zoom.
Yes, we will
Cool.
do Zoom.
Excuse me.
Okay. All right, so we have our committee meetings, we have our officers elected. I'm feeling like we've accomplished a few things today. So let's just hit on quickly any ongoing business. And this is just from last month. We had discussed some of the Arbor Day events, and we really wanted to get into the new Martin Luther King Park downtown. There's still work going on with the trees down there, and the park, although people can go visit, the park is not open for reserving a space for an event or education. And so we're going to hold off until we get the okay from the city when it's time to do that. So I just wanted to follow up on that. We did talk about 6th Street. There were some trees that were planted last year that still had the straps that have now been kind of burdensome to them. Spencer and the physical plant went out and took all of those off for us. Except for the ones that are on kind of that clover lake. They're on the embankment. They still need a little bit of structural reinforcement, but all the others have been removed. He was great to even save the straps and has offered that if we need help, that they're available for our use too, which will help cut down on some expenses, which is good. We had posed doing the, UCA has the big event each year on March 11th, and that's when we can get a lot of volunteers. We're not going to do that this year just because of timing. We don't have any big plantings on the schedule for spring or cleanups or anything right now, so we're going to not do that. Just wanted to follow up with you guys. There's 2 things. So Krista did mention at our next meeting, and I've mentioned the Arbor Day Foundation and being a Tree City USA, one of the standards is that we have to have an ordinance pertaining to the care and management of trees. There have been some changes and requirements from what the Arbor Day Foundation needs from us, and so we will need to revisit that ordinance to make sure we can still comply and get certified again next year. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't have that information yet, but just we'll carry that on to the next conversation, but know that that'll be coming, and we'll review that ordinance to make sure we're still compliant with that. And then I'll pop back up to this first bullet point. So getting trees in the ground is not the only thing that we want to do, but it is important that we do tree plantings. The best time to plant, y'all know, is early spring and later fall. We won't make probably the early spring date. But I do have a nonprofit that's wanting to partner with us to fund a tree grove planting. And so I did share with y'all the folder. We do have 5 approved tree planting locations this year in terms of public tree locations. Again, Parks and Rec, y'all been fantastic to support us in that. And so just stay tuned. Know that we do have some funds and we will go and do a tree planting later on in the year. And part of what we want to do is try to figure out where we want to go next. So Laurel Park, we've done a lot of planting there. We know that's everyone's favorite park, tons of trees. Last year, we did go into 5th Avenue Park, put some trees there. We have the 2, well, they're probably down to about 150 trees now over at the McGee Center.
It's still more than I expected.
There's a lot. They're hanging in there.
I'm impressed.
Like, come on, let's make it through spring, this winter and spring. But they fared pretty well. So I think those areas are great, and I'm glad to see that we do have this year. Gatling Park is one of the places that we have permission to do some planting. We've had some requests and people wanting to see that over there. We do also have 5th Avenue Park. There's a whole nother section that's available to us. So y'all, in the folder I sent you, the red markings, there's locations that are pre-approved that we can go in and do some planting. So know that 5th Avenue is back on the books for us. We do have Gatling Park. This Tucker Creek Trail, I would love to get us down on Tucker Creek. So not trying to sway anyone, but I would like to get some trees on Tucker Creek down there.
New section,
Sorry?
by the new section? Oh, no, that's not Tucker Creek. Never mind.
That's
You're
dope.
talking about Stone Dam Creek, yeah.
Stone Dam
Yes.
Creek, yes. So we want to get down there too. This is, I'm not super great at really knowing it. So about between Reedy Road, whatever that loop is, Maple Springs. There's like a really big section actually that we could go in and plant some trees. So that is a possibility for us too. And then Bainbridge Park, and I do have to say honestly, I know it's Kensington Country Club. I'm not exactly sure where that Bainbridge Park is exactly, but we have locations. I'll take a drive by, but we hear from people a lot that Tucker Creek would like to have some trees down there too,
Pretty
and
sure I know where
Gatling
that
Park.
is.
Sorry?
Oh, so I'm pretty sure I know where that is. I used to live off on Kensington.
Yeah, on Bainbridge,
Just right
I'm
off,
my
yeah.
cousin too, but I can't picture it, but I'm like, oh, I know where that is, well, it's never been. So we do have some locations, and stay tuned, because I know we've got some funds to put some trees in and a partner for that. So we will talk about that later, because that won't come to fall, but I did want to share, last month I told y'all we had some locations, so did want to share that. And then the other news, and then I'm not sure I put it on the agenda, but the UCA Environmental Science Program was interested in the tree board for capstone project potential. So Krista and I went, she presented, we were with the UCA students last month, and they actually were so interested. We're going to have 2 teams doing projects for us. I know, it's very exciting. So part of what we need to help us on the tree board is to understand what is that history of land change over time. And so they're going to do some GIS analysis for us and get us some information of what does it look like, what were trees 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and where are we now? Because we don't know where we need to go if we don't know where we've been, and what we have existing. And so part of it is just information finding for us. So they're going to be doing that for us. And then also looking at where trees are planted now in terms of land use, and finding some potential areas that may be in need, or potential areas for planting. Of course, we then go to city and talk to all that. But we have 2 different teams of students who will be helping us with some information gathering to support our tree care management plan and planting efforts or preservation or whatever. So very excited about that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nothing required of us now. They may want to have some conversation one-on-one time. We'll just be a support for them, and that's really all we'll do. So they will do that for us. So glad to have that. Okay. I did a lot of talking. The last 2 meetings, a lot of talking. Okay, any questions for me, y'all?
There was one thing I was going to bring up. You sent the email about somebody attending the Oak Street Ahead project, and then it got delayed. I'm
Yes.
planning to attend that whenever it happens.
Right, okay.
21st, it'll be.
Yeah, I've got it on the calendar. I'm sorry, I didn't look it up. Yeah,
21st.
21st.
Okay. And that's the Oak Street. Thank you for that. I have been out of town, so I just got back last night. It's gone all week. Okay, 21st to Oak Street. So yeah, it's really exciting. I think those are opportunities too for us. The city asks for input, and they want to be very transparent about the way they're going about business. And I just think it's good if someone can show up and either report back or be, while they're actively seeking questions and input, that we're there too, right? So
More trees,
that's part of
please.
what we want to do. Is with the new board, I think it's a great opportunity, and there are changes in the planning department, and with them trying to get cohesion between all the boards, I'd love to see some interconnectivity between all of the efforts and get more on the front end instead of being reactive as best we can. So, all right. Any other questions? Anything? Okay. All right. Well, then I guess we're going to call it early at 5:43.
I'm going to move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Yes. Don't have to do that. Everybody's all in favor. All right. So Josh, Sam. I'm your makeshift secretary right now, so I will get the notes together. And then I'll send them to you. If there's anything you want to add, then you can get them on there too, if I miss something, okay? But I'll take care of that. All right, thank you all, appreciate it.
It's been